Okay, good. Starting from there, I'd like to try to get you to say something about concepts that function in detail in a semantical theory of the sort that you urge would play an important role in this rather global exercise of making sense of someone else, making sense of a speaker. I mean, it's supposed to be a truth theory that the interpreter tries to come up with. Truth theory in a quite specific sense, harking back to Tarski. And it's a really important feature of the sort of truth theory that it's supposed to be, that relations, and we really mean relations, we can say, are set up in the constructing of the theory between words that the person might come out with and things that, according to the global theory, we're going to be able to make sense of the person as holding forth about when these words come out of his or her mouth. That's all right so far. Yes. I really want to have emphatically there that denotation, say, that might figure in some versions of this sort of thing, but for sure satisfaction. That's a relation of a semantical kind, according to that old-fashioned conception of the semantical that you find in people like Carnap.
Yes.
Yes. Here a word, there a thing, or some construction out of a bunch of things if it's sequences.
Yes. Let me put it my own way. Since if I want to express, let me say in the first place, this theory is my theory, so to speak, or the philosopher's theory, who aims to describe in his own way what somebody who understands somebody else knows. It's not that there's any thought in my mind that people who understand others, that's everybody who has a language, that they have this theory themselves. It's just that there's so much that they're prepared to make sense of. It's virtually unlimited, because once they got the hang of anybody's language, they're prepared to interpret an unlimited number of things the person might say. So I need a theory to express what I think that person's ability amounts to. Now, when it comes to testing such a theory, I think of it as tested entirely by what amounts to sentential utterances, because it's those that have truth conditions, and it's those that do the work of language, and it's what we can observe. We can't observe single words doing anything. And so the theory doesn't begin with anything like denotation or reference or satisfaction. It begins just with the sentences. But then it turns out that, of course, it's impossible for somebody to learn the meaning of every possible sentence independently. They somehow have got a system. That's what the theory is for. And it turns out that there's no way to construct such a theory without breaking sentences up into parts, words, essentially, and then mapping those words onto things. So there's no escaping that. All right, that's
yeah.
my way of putting it.
Right. That's beautiful. I mean, I really want that. The idea that the word-thing relations that the semantic theorist says hold, right? And the theorist is going to be right about that if the interpretation really works. There's nothing to the holding, the idea of the holding of these word-thing relations, except the way in which the claim that the relations hold between exactly these words and exactly these things works towards enabling the theorist to say what the truth conditions of potential whole utterances are. And then there's nothing to that being the right thing to say about some potential whole utterance, except that that in the end it's going to facilitate making sense of the people or person, if we're talking about an idiolect, who speak or speaks the language that we're talking about. So that the very idea of the relevant word-thing relations, which are indeed relations, is nothing except a component part of the global exercise of interpretation, subject as it is to the constitutive ideal of rationality. I mean, that's still there in the picture, controlling this activity.
Yes. Right.
That strikes me as fine Davidsonian thesis that I think risks getting lost in the way, at any rate, some of the people who admire your work take you to be proceeding. Again, I'm thinking of Rorty, and I think I'm thinking of Bjorn Ramberg, who has a reading of what you're at that's I think influenced by Rorty. So I'm stressing that the idea of say denotation, I mean, supposing we imagine a language that's got proper names in it, and we have to find out what this here proper name is a name of, so we say, well, it's a name of that there thing. But this is meant to be a way to say what it is about these semantic relations. Say denotation, that's a semantic relation. It really is a relation. It's to be the statement of it is to be parsed in that way. You could take out the singular terms on either side of the relational expression and put variables and put quantifiers at the front. It's a honest to goodness relation. But it's a relation, the very idea of which is shot through with the normativity of the idea of rationality, just because we can work our way out from the idea of these relations to the conception of the point of the whole exercise of interpretation as being governed by the constitutive ideal of rationality. I'm not very happy with calling it normativity, but something in that area anyway. I mean,
I don't mind
if
the
there's
word
a
at
reason for, if this is a reason for that, well then that's you better do that or believe that or whatever it is that this is a reason for.
Right.
I mean,
norms are in play, definitely.
Right. So that the relations are relations, all right, but the idea of what it is for one of these relations to obtain, say for this to denote that, is an idea that's shot through with normativity, and I'm not happy about that metaphor, but something like that seems